result of errors in judgment, in that a sage or person of moral and intellectual perfection wouldn't undergo such emotions. Stoics were concerned with the active relationship between cosmic determinism and human freedom, and the belief that it is virtuous to maintain a will that is in accord with nature. Now, this is so very important, because remember, we're connecting all of these people with the alien force. We're saying that the alien force UFO'd over to South America, where the Mayans, or became the Mayans, or whatever, in Paco Votan, and the whole thing about December the 21st, 2012, has to do with what? Paco Votan saying that the problem is that we're losing our connection with nature, and if you see the Stoic philosophy that was of Greece, which came from that same place which we've placed as the center of the UFO landing, was that it is virtuous to maintain a will that is in accord with nature. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, what does that mean? I'm kind to animals? Yes. I'm kind to the trees? Yes, and all of this kind. But it means something else. It is in a will that is not coming from the politicians, from the schools, from the churches, from whoever government. It's coming from here. That's nature. It is the true instinct that lights within you in your meditative state. We'll get to that in a while. But the Stoics said one must be in accord with nature, and we know that a force from the original UFO left Chem or Egypt, wound up in the land of Mayans, and what did Paco Votan teach it? Accord with nature. Stoics presented their philosophy as a way of life, and they thought that the best indication of an individual's philosophy was not what a person said, but how he or she behaved. Stoic doctrine was a popular and durable philosophy with a following throughout Greece and the Roman Empire from its founding until the closing of all philosophy schools in 529 AD. And take a look at this. By the order of Emperor Justinian, who perceived their pagan character to be at odds with this Christian faith. So nothing has changed really, has it? Going back thousands of years. The great philosophy schools are closed because of a Christian. And he considered it pagan. But now this is really interesting, because we've attached Paco Votan, nature, the Stoics, nature, and what does the word pagan mean? Here we see paganism means a country dweller. Is a word with several meanings, but it had to do with the closeness to nature of rural people. And you see what it says? People who are close to nature are more resistant to Christianity than those who live in urban centers and are cut off from the cycles of nature. So in the broadest definition, it says pagan denotes everything that is not Abrahamic religions. That is to say, everything other than Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So we have this heavy emphasis on nature from the Stoics. We have the Christian Justinian cutting them off because of this impression of nature. And then we have the Mayans who, like the Stoics, were related to the Emerald UFOs, and that impact from Paco Votan of the December 21st being because of our lack of interdependence with nature. So all the pieces begin to fit together. And we find, not even just now, but we find how even back then, religion has been the prime culprit in separating us from the UFO force of light. The very force
just pause it a minute. Okay, I'm ready to do a bit of training while I'm listening to this. My lump's quite a bit bad today, and I can feel the poison of it gone down into my hand. When I'm thinking back, when I was doing a certain way of drawing the poison out, I was using that particular munge where you press on the side there, like that. You can, I don't know if you can see there. But the trouble is, well, there's no trouble with it, it's brilliant how you can detox yourself. But I think you've got to do it at short intervals and not long time, because you know you're pumping a lot of poison. It goes out through your endocrine system, through your glands. I'm into the way through books to find out how I can find out really. So I'm not an expert, I'm not trying to teach anybody yet. I'm just simply trying to show that I'm in recovery and that I can either sit there and rot, or I can reverse the process what I've put my body through. So that's basically what I'm doing. Got some tea tree oil, some coconut oil, because the tea tree burns your skin a bit and you've been putting it on for a while. So if I put the coconut oil on first, it helps, like, so I'll just show you. That's a crystal around my neck. I always keep a crystal with me. I've got them on by TV because I've been reading and learning that they help to draw in the negative energy, and you know the sort of TV stuff in air, if TV went off phone and all that stuff. But anyway, I just feel it there. It's from about there to there. Yeah, I can feel it all there. There we go. Put some stuff in. I can feel it goes into my heart when I did that munja, and I felt loads of poison go through, and then when I'm really bad, coming out lad, when it really bad, it was I had to breathe in like that, in my tongue. That felt like it was missing certain sections and going straight into your stomach, and then I could like hum it back out, right? Like, yeah, expanded, and push it away, and the doctors don't know what it is. It's in my ankle as well. That's where I got my like a leg caught, you know, on a push bike in Cog. Just gonna block the dog out while I do his training. Come on, mate, come here. In fact, come here a minute. Here. Never mind. Where I can feel poison, feel it in there and round here in my neck. And if you look at me in camera, I know it's on that video that I did, that half my face slants down, and when I talk, half of it's like down, and I get a blockage there under my eye, so I could feel it, all that shit when it poisoned me, man. Especially there, my liver, I was killing, man. Shooting pains, like when you can put your foot on the floor, oh man, anyway. So, get some of this stuff on, where it's sore or bland. I find this. I haven't done this Tai Chi for a couple of hours, so I'll speed it up, so I'm going to try and slow myself down. So I feel like I'm running a bit fast, so I need to meditate. Anyway, so I'm putting this on. Putting the coconut oil on, and I'm putting this on, and I'm going to put Bill on, so I'm mad. So.
That the biblical book of Ezekiel referred to as the glory of God and cherubims. Remember that same UFO emerald force, and say, how can I say it was the same force? Because the force leader in the emerald tablet had an inkhorn hanging on his left side, and the force leader in the book of Ezekiel had an inkhorn hanging on his left side. So it's the same force. And that force, the Bible called the glory of God and the cherubims, and that's the very thing that the Christian Justinian cut off in shutting down those philosophies go. So we look around, and you see the disregard for nature throughout the world. It begins to become clear why. Now, we found in the connection to Kabbalah, when we had that diagram up, that it referenced Hermetic Kabbalah. And we looked at the diagram, and we saw the listing, I'm going to put that word up here, of Hermetics. Okay? Hermetics. And that directly connects, obviously, to Hermes, who directly connects to Thoth, who directly connects to the UFO alien. So let us get to know Hermes a little bit, okay? Let's see. Now, John, Hermes, pronounced Hermes, is the messenger of the gods in Greek mythology, as well as a guide to the underworld. Well, you know, if you remember the initial work of the Emerald Tablet, Thoth says, we are messengers from the sun. So Hermes fits right in. Now, in the Emerald Tablet, it says, he taught me the path to Amenti, the underworld. So you see the connection?
21, on that
Thoth,
side.
as the UFO commander says, he taught me the path to the underworld.
As above,
and then Hermes in the Greek is the messenger of the god, as well as a guide to the underworld. Now, there is another thing on here that I have to share with you, which is quite amazing. And I have to prepare you for this last paragraph. Many years ago, this was known as the Christian Village Church, right? For various reasons, it was changed to hidden meanings. I want you to consider Hermes. I want you to consider Thoth, and the commander of the alien Emerald UFO force. And now consider this. Hermes is a messenger from the gods to humans. Hermes gives our word hermeneutics for the art of interpreting hidden meanings. When I saw that, the first thing I had to do was rush out and get to John and yelling through the house, wait till you see this one, you ain't gonna... We got it all here. We got the hidden meanings, it's the sign out over the door. We got the sign of 8, which is that. And now we've connected to the UFO alien commander who actually was the messenger from the other galaxy. And that gives us the word hermeneutics. And that's what we do here. We are hermeneutics. We interpret hidden meanings. So if anybody tells you, put down what's your religion, you put down hermeneutics. Isn't that amazing, though? I mean, they're thinking all this stuff that we're doing, here we are. Well, consider that. Now notice where it says Hermes is the messenger from the gods to humans. How that flows with the initial statement of the Emerald Tablet or higher alien force, because the messenger for the god. Now, John, what does it say? This is from the initial Emerald Tablet. Gather my people. Take them by the art you have learned across the waters until you reach the land of the hairy barbarians dwelling in caves. Follow the plan. And I spoke to them in words calm and peaceful, telling them of the might of Atlantis, saying, we were children of the sun and its messengers. And so there is the confirmation. Now, you've got a connection there. How many times do we show this slide of the connection between Thoth, Hermes, the alien UFO commander, and Jesus? Look at the messages. Let's run through them real quick. The aliens in white. The river of life flows eternally. Jesus, out of me flows rivers of living water. The alien, I will descend, I will return. Jesus, I go away and come again unto you. The alien, strong are we with the power from the eternal fire. John the Baptist, he shall baptize you with fire. The alien, they linked with the children of light. Jesus, believe in the light, you may be children of light. The alien, I dwelt in the land of Ken doing great works. Jesus, the Father will show greater works. Alien, I go to come face to face with the dweller. Jesus, I go to him that sent me. The alien, lift your eyes towards the light. And Jesus says, he that follows me, that's like the same guy. The same stuff. Now, I mean, you can say, well, maybe this guy copied this from Jesus and put it, and that's what a Christian would tell you. This guy copied this from the Bible and put it in the Emerald Town. But, how did he get it into the Kabbalah and all of this stuff? See? So the alien force comes from Chem, which is present-day Egypt, and the Bible says of Jesus, out of Egypt I have called my son. The Coptic Gnostics of Egypt says Jesus gave them the key, and the key is the wheel of 8. And Thoth was known as the god of 8 from Hermopolis, which is the city of 8. Jesus was friends with John the Baptist, who formerly was Elijah, who flew in a UFO. In fact, he left Earth in a UFO. And so now we see Hermes as the Greek version of Thoth, who's really the alien. And there is something very interesting here about the Jesus-Thoth-Hermes connection found in the encyclopedia. Now, this is where I introduce you to another character who is, well, I'm going to write it because Hermes Trismegistus. Trismegistus. Okay? Now, just a minute. Here's where this guy comes in. The Egyptians said it's Thoth. Okay? The Greeks said it's Hermes. Then along came the Hellenists, and they said it's the same. They're the same person, and they called it Hermes Trismegistus. Let's look. Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great. Do you know what that means? 3 persons in one. Latin Mercurius Maximus. You know why? Because we got another group that's getting involved here, and these are the Romans, and they call the same guy Mercury, who flies around with wings on his hat and wings on his shoes and can fly through the sky. Makes sense? UFO. He's the representation of the combination of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth. In Hellenistic Egypt, the Greeks recognized the congruence, which means sameness, of the god Hermes with the Egyptian god Thoth. Subsequently, the two gods were worshipped as one in what had been the temple of Thoth in Kemu, which the Greeks called Hermopolis. This is very important when we consider this alien UFO leader from the land of Chem with a direct connection to the Bible and to Jesus. Here we see that the Hellenists saw that Thoth and Hermes were definitely the same person. And we know why it's critical. Because the people, the Hellenists, who believed that Thoth and Hermes were the same person from the UFO, are the people that wrote the Bible. The Hellenists, under the direction of the Greek Ptolemies, wrote the Bible, both the Old Testament, known as the Septuagint, and the New Testament. If the words of Jesus match the words of Thoth Hermes, which I just showed you they do, and if the stories in the Bible exist about UFOs, and they do you see why? Why? Because the people that wrote the Bible were followers of Hermes Trismegistus, who, going way back, was the guy that commanded the UFO fleet. Get it deep in your head. The writers of the Bible were followers of the Emerald UFO officer they called Hermes Trismegistus. Notice the temple's in Kemu, which is the land of Chem. And notice the name of it, Hermopolis, which is the city of 8. And notice, remember, Jesus gave the Coptic Gnostics in Egypt the sign of 8. And once again, think of that. Thrice great Hermes is 3 in 1, which you have in the Jesus story, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, where it came from. Your God, your angels, your spirits, all of this stuff are actually alien forces that come with UFOs and landed before there was a place even known as Egypt. Now let me show you this. Here, these tablets concerning what was found in some of these older tablets. They were found in Pylos and Gnosis. Appears the name of the deity Hermes, but not in any apparent connection with Trisha. This interpretation, poorly understood Mycenaean material, Hermes is not referenced. Now this is so doggone important. Hermes is not referenced in well-documented archaic and classical time, and only emerges in Hellenistic Egypt. The UFO leader is not acknowledged and only emerges in Hellenistic Egypt, which is where the Hellenists wrote the Bible. Hermes Trismegistus is described in the Corpus Hermeticum in Euhemerus fashion, which that's a Greek mythographer who did what I do now. He treats mythological accounts as a reflection of actual history. But look what they call Hermes Trismegistus, the Hellenists who wrote the Bible. A man who became a god, or a man who was the Son of God. The same guy. The UFO leader. The Son of God. Now, you know, no matter what you do, you can't change the fact that the Hellenists wrote the Bible. They did. And no matter what you do, you can't change the fact that there was nothing ever known of Hermes Trismegistus until the Hellenists came along. And no matter what you do, you can't change the fact that they're saying this was the Son of God, Hermes Trismegistus, 3 persons in 1 God. So who was Jesus? That's great stuff. That is great stuff. So let's all pause. Take a breath. Because we've reached the point of finding where everything we have ever learned in our lives, God, angels, where did it come from, who it was, who was involved. And look at that slide very deeply again. Hermes Trismegistus was the man who was the Son of God. And then raising your eyes up, Hermes Trismegistus only emerges in Hellenistic Egypt. So Thoth and Hermes are one and the same according to the Hellenists, which means that Trismegistus, who was the Son of God, was Thoth, who came to earth in a UFO. That's what this is saying. This is saying that the Hellenists said that Trismegistus came to earth in a UFO. And that winds up being the Son of God, 3 persons is 1. Now notice, only does that Trismegistus show up with the Hellenists because we are connecting the Bible, we're connecting Jesus with the Emerald UFO Force, and in order to do that, we've got to understand the Hellenists. You know, when I did this long ago, back in 622, I showed you the definition of Hellenist, and I used a Christian, website. And I admitted the Bible was written by Hellenists. I presented a Christian understanding that showed people from Israel and other areas came to Egypt, worked with the Greek mythologists under the Ptolemies, reported to Alexander the Great in creating the Bible. And this is what I showed you. And this is from the Christian website. Hellenism, originally used about 16th century to refer to Greek-speaking Jews as opposed to Hebrew-speaking Jews, people that came from many different cultures and embraced the Greek civilization. So we found that they came to Alexandria, submitted to Greek authority, learned Greek literature and mythology, and we found that they wrote the Bible in Alexandria, Egypt, which the Emerald Tablet spoke of as the land of Chem. That's where the Bible came. Now, it was Hellenists who wrote the Bible. They identified the UFO leader as the Son of God in 3 persons. So the plot thickens. More players become involved. And now it looks like a worldwide UFO invasion, which touches everything. So where are we? Let's take a look. We got the Emerald UFO Force, land of Chem, Egypt. We got Egypt recording Thoth as the leader, Greece recording Hermes as the leader, the Hellenists combining Thoth and Hermes as Hermes Trismegistus, as Son of God in 3 persons in 1. We got the Hellenists writing the Bible with stories of UFOs, aliens, and Jesus as the Son of God in 3 persons in 1. I mean, you know, it should start to all ring a big bell. Now, the part about Hellenists acknowledging Thoth and Hermes, Emerald UFO, writing the Bible, is so intensely interesting because we all wondered, you know, where did this stuff come from? You know? You never in your life dreamed it could be coming from. I mean, Jesus could be a UFO alien guy, a commander of the UFO. But I had, you know, I didn't want to bring back another Christian, so I had to develop a source that would be more credible to me and more credible to you than the Christian source. I wanted to find a Jewish source writing about Hellenists, so there'd be no doubt whatsoever concerning who they were in their involvement in the Bible. And I found a source that you can find too. It's called JewishEncyclopedia.com. I'm not making anything up, but if we're going to understand what we're really dealing with, we have to understand Jewish historical statements about Hellenists, about the Bible. So let's look at Jewish history concerning those who gave up Judaism to involve themselves with the Greeks. So here's your question. Was the Bible written with Hellenists who acknowledged the alien UFO force commander? Did the writers write the Bible under Greek influence and fill it with symbols, myths, and allegories? Did these Hellenists put things in the Bible that had nothing to do with Judaism? So let's go to the Jewish Encyclopedia and we'll look up the word Hellenism. Hellenism is a word used to express the assimilation, coming together of the Jews, by the Jews, of Greek speech, manners, and culture from the 4th century BC through the 1st centuries of the Common. Judaism regarded it as their chief task to preserve their religion uncontaminated, a task that required the strict separation of the congregation from all foreign people. The separation was especially difficult to maintain when the victorious campaign of Alexander the Great linked the East to the West. The victory, look at this, the victory was not simply a political one, its spiritual influence was much greater. The Greek language became a common language for Nearer Asia, and with the language came Greek culture, Greek art, and Greek thought. So what do you find out first? Hellenism, basically an invasion into the Jewish culture of Greek thought. Let's go to the Jewish Encyclopedia next. The Hellenic influence pervaded everything. And even in the very strongholds of Judaism, it modified the organization of the state, the laws, public affairs, art, science, affecting ordinary things of life. It was a denationalizing influence from the strictly Jewish point of view. This was the principal reason for the dislike which many Jewish teachers felt for things Hellenic. Now look at this. It led its new votaries to the highest flights of philosophy. How? Through the allegorical explanations coming from what? Stoicism. Were applied to what? The Bible. Especially where? Alexandria. A real danger menaced the development of Jewish life and thought. If you ever needed proof, there it is. From the Jewish Encyclopedia, and you can go read it for yourself. Judaism having a big problem with these people because they were putting allegory in the Bible, which came out of Alexandria, which we've told you over and over again was where the Bible was written, and now the Jewish Encyclopedia confirmed it. Do you remember how in talking about Greek science masters, and I told you a little earlier, I talked about Zeno. He taught quantum physics 4,000 years ago. Who the heck taught him this stuff? Remember? Zeno taught that. Look at this slide again, and you'll see the Jewish concern about the Bible translations being made in Alexandria, Egypt, with allegorical influences coming from Stoicism. Who is putting something into the Bible in symbols and messages from Stoicism? Let's look at that, John. Stoicism was a school of Hellenistic philosophy founded in Athens by who? Zeno. What does he, Zeno, say? God is light, which means God is a photon. Why? Because that's what he taught. The Stoics consider it destructible. We've done that. It's virtuous to maintain a will that is in accord with nature. And in the bottom it says, Paco Votan knew that humanity would be disconnected from the laws of the natural world. So you see how here we have Hellenistic philosophy, which wrote the Bible in symbols and allegory, and got Judaism very upset. And then this Stoic philosophy, which all came from the UFO guys, winds up in the Mayan places, and Paco Votan speaks of it about nature. So we have proof of quantum physics involved in the Bible, because Judaism was upset about it, and it was put in by the Greek quantum physicist Zeno, Stoicism. So based on the Jewish Encyclopedia, we've connected quantum physics with the Bible, Zeno, Paco Votan. And let's go back and look at this Jewish Encyclopedia once again. The Hellenic influence pervaded everything. Everything. Man, did I just do that, I think? Allegorical. Now notice the concerns of the Jews concerning allegorical explanations. Look carefully about allegory. You see where it says that? It led to new votaries to the highest flights of philosophy, but through the allegorical explanations coming from Stoicism were applied to the Bible in Alexandria. Allegory. They were upset about that because that's what the Hellenists were doing. Let's look at the Bible. Galatians, it's written, Abraham had 2 sons, but he was of the bondwoman, but he of the free woman was by promise. Which things are what? An allegory. You see? The very thing that Judaism was freaking out about, that the Hellenists were doing. And the people that were doing this were the same people that said Hermes and Thoth were the same person who came from the land of Chem, from the land of the UFO. So what did we prove? Through the Jewish Encyclopedia. The Hellenists wrote the Bible in Alexandria, placed allegory in it. We saw the allegory with our own eyes. Now, but let's just continue for a few minutes, because the Jewish Encyclopedia concerning the Hellenists, because remember, our search with them concerns their acknowledging the commander of the Emerald Force as Hermes Trismegistus, the son of God. And now we're saying, wait a minute, the people that acknowledge this are the ones that wrote the Bible. So then we can understand why there's a book in the Bible about UFOs and aliens, which is Ezekiel, and we can understand the story about Elijah taking off in a UFO. Let's go back to the Jewish Encyclopedia, John. For this reason, the Hellenists are called wicked, sinners, scoffers. It was in Alexandria that Jewish Hellenism reached its greatest development. And here, freed from national bonds, Hellenistic Judaism became more Hellenistic than Jewish. Egypt is the classical home of Hellenism. Egypt is the classical home of the emerald and the UFO. The Hellenistic Jew literature is the best evidence of the influence exercised by Greek thought upon the people of the book, people of the Bible. The first need for the Hellenistic Jews in Alexandria was a Greek translation of the Bible. So see Judaism really coming against, because these people are working so close with the Greek mythologists in Alexandria. So we understand the involvement here. And notice how the encyclopedia notes the influence of Greek thought. Meaning the Greek mythological influence becomes paramount in the minds of the people of the Bible, which we've said here all along. Let's get back quick to the Jewish encyclopedia. Judaism couldn't appreciate for any length of time the Greek Bible. Now look at this next one. And the preservation of the Septuagint, which is the Greek, is due to the Christian church, which was first founded among Greek-speaking people. They declared that the day, now this is the Jews declared the day when the Bible had been translated into Greek was as faithful as that on which the golden calf had been worshipped. That at this time was darkness had come upon Egypt, and they appointed the 8th of Tebet as a fast day. Not only was the study of the Greek Bible forbidden, but also the study of the Greek language and literature. After the war with Titus, no Jew was allowed to permit his son to learn Greek. So the abandonment of the Greek Bible by the Jews and the statement, the reason the Greek Bible of allegory continued was because of the Christian church. Real quick, we wrap up the Jewish encyclopedia. The Jews outside of Palestine were so different from the people among whom they lived. They'd all become mythologists now. The Jewish customs were strange, and their religious observances provoked the derision of the Greeks, who gave expression to their views in satire allusions to Jewish history, even in malicious fabrication. So what they're saying is stuff in the Bible the Greeks made up. Maybe they did. So there's the Jewish Bible attacking Greek Hellenists. So you know now who the Hellenists were. You know they wrote the Bible. You know, they filled it with symbols and allegory. This infuriated the Jews. And you know also that the same people that wrote the Bible acknowledged the Emerald UFO Force. Now, the Hellenistic Bible is the one that we use today. That's the one used by Western nations. And it was announced publicly by the Greek Aristeas. And look what he says. This is really neat. Look what it says about it. Aristeas, by the advice of Demetrius Valerius, chief librarian of Ptolemy Philadelphus, these are other Greek, the king decided to include in his library a translation of the Jewish law book. In other words, we're going to translate it, we're going to change it. The letter was written at a period which the translation had already exerted wide influence. Of special importance is a passage in the prologue to Jesus Sirach, wherein the latter's grandson excuses the imperfections of his translation by stating, the Greek translation of the law, the prophets, and other books varies considerably from the original Hebrew. That is the book that is kissed today. It is filled with Greek mythology, which I have told you for years. So we have a thorough understanding from the Jewish encyclopedia. The Hellenists wrote the Bible. The Hellenists acknowledged the UFO forces. We know that Thoth was the commander and all of that business. And then we know the Hellenists of Greek Alexandria, Egypt, called the leader Hermes Trismegistus. Let's look at that one last time to just see that slide. Hermes Trismegistus, described as a man who was the Son of God and 3 in 1. Only emerges there, 3 in 1. So when we consider the New Testament also written in Alexandria by Hellenists, its reference to Jesus as Son of God and 3 in 1, Can we open our minds wide enough to take the possibility in determining where all of these things that we have been led to believe as gospel came from? Very easy for everybody to come down on as skeptics and everything. They never do it when it comes to religion. They just show up on Sunday and bow their heads. Oh, wow, I mean, what are you going to do? UFOs come down? Who's going to believe that? I'm going to church. But the snakes talk to the lady. So one has to ask, why should this talk of extraterrestrial involvement seem so bizarre, and yet these strange religious stories? Let's, real quick, I have 2 more slides. Hermes Trismegistus. Let me look at this. Thoth and Hermes revealed to humankind the healing arts, magic, writing, astrology, science, and philosophy. According to legend, Hermes is said to have provided the wisdom of light. He carried an emerald, upon which was recorded all philosophy and the caduceus, the symbol of mystical illumination. So what was written is that all science and philosophy came from this one source, which was the UFO officer. And then we make the mystical connection with Mercury. From the beginning, Mercury had essentially the same aspects as Hermes: winged shoes, winged hat, caduceus, staff, 2 entwined snakes that was Apollo's gift to Hermes. Cicero mentions Mercury, Hermes, as the son of the Nile, whose name may not be spoken by the Egyptians. The word mercurial is commonly used to refer to something or someone erratic, volatile, unstable, derived from Mercury's swift flights from place to place. Mercury flying from place to place.
Spooky fucking
Hermes flying, Thoth flying, the alien UFO commander flying from place to place, and in the mythology pictured with wings. It, to me, connects. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Night with
I'll finish off with macabre meditation. Oh, I'm not finishing off yet, but I'm going to do it.
Why the sour face, grapefruit? Your zestiness is easy to love.
Thanks. I'm fine doing that. Yeah, I haven't finished yet, man. The program's finished, but I might as well say what I'm doing. Some 432 megahertz music. All today's pop music, so I think it's 440, so 432 megahertz is the sound that is similar to nature, isn't it? This is nice.